For a long time, we have been conducting research to unravel the mystery of these ancient lands. This secluded plain in the heart of the forest managed to capture our attention during our initial surface investigations. Some differences in the soil structure gave the impression that something unusual is hidden here. Now, we want to share the data we previously obtained with you live. Our field researcher is scanning this area with a radiometer, an underground imaging device. Look, right at this point, we detected significant differences in the soil structure. The sensitive sensors of the radiometer instantly record the magnetic changes underground, and this is reflected on the screen as blue voids. These blue areas might indicate a void underground or perhaps the remnants of a constructed structure. How exciting, isn't it? After the scanning process is completed, our researcher immediately examines the data obtained in detail. Thanks to the spatial software on my phone, we are trying to understand the approximate dimensions and depth of this blue void. According to initial analyses, this void is large enough for a person to fit comfortably and is approximately 1 meter deep. The moment we've been eagerly waiting for has arrived. We are starting the excavation to discover what this mysterious void is hiding, and thus we take our first step into the unknown depths of the forest. Let's see what historical secrets this land will whisper to us. The work we started in the morning reached the afternoon hours. Sometimes these kinds of excavations can take days, depending on the type of structure and the soil composition. Our field researcher noticed that the soil was harder in some areas during the excavation and encountered small stones. This prompted us to be more cautious and slow down our work a bit. And finally, the anomaly indicated by the radiometer began to reveal itself much more clearly. As you can see, we are faced with a tomb structure lined with stones on the edges. This type of grave is a simple kind that we frequently encounter in archaeological excavations. It was generally used for people whose social status or financial situation was not very good. However, what makes this find interesting is not this. The strange part is that this is not a cemetery area. Usually, these types of graves are found side by side, even in rows, as part of large cemetery areas. But here, there is only one grave, and this situation is truly unusual. Why a single grave? Why was it built in such a desolate and secluded place? What is the story behind this simple grave? We will continue our work to find the answers to these questions and solve this mystery. We will all see what secrets this single grave will whisper to us. What secrets lie behind this simple stone structure? We, like you, are waiting with great curiosity. As our field researcher continues to work with the same excitement, something not belonging to the soil suddenly catches their eye. And here is the first sign. As the soil is dug, a pot appears. As they clean the soil, 2 grave gifts made of pottery appear on the right and left of the skull. Our guesses were correct. This is indeed a grave. Actually, for a simple form of a grave, we would expect 1 pot. Yeah. However, the appearance of 2 makes the situation a bit more mysterious and exciting. And look, right above the skeleton, there's an interesting item that we can't quite identify at first glance. Soon, we'll understand more clearly what it is. Incredible. It's a shield, and not just any shield. The meticulous engravings, the embroidery. This cannot belong to an ordinary person. This shield clearly shows us that this is the tomb of a great warrior. Now the course of events has completely changed. Under this simple tomb lies not an ordinary person, but a respected warrior. In the later minutes of the video, we will be able to explain the story of this grave and why it was buried alone much more clearly. Now, what other gifts or personal belongings belonging to this warrior will emerge inside the tomb? We are waiting with great curiosity. When we look to the right side of the warrior, we see new clues about his personal life. Here, there is a cup that might have been placed beside him for his final journey and, surprisingly, a small warrior's axe. This cup might have been the personal item from which the warrior sipped his favorite drink. The small warrior axe, on the other hand, has a more elegant and meticulous design compared to a regular battle axe. This suggests to us that it might not just be a weapon, but also a personal symbol or a meaningful memento left by loved ones as a farewell. These items remind us that he was not just a warrior, but also a real person with a family and a life. Attention! A bracelet appears on the warrior's left wrist, and the sword buried with him slowly emerges from the ground. All these findings are gradually illuminating the story behind this extraordinary tomb. It seems that a great battle took place in this area, and our warrior may have been severely wounded or lost his life on the battlefield. His friends were unable to build a worthy monument for him amidst the chaos and urgency of the war. Perhaps this war continued for a long time, or maybe the warrior's friends also lost their lives in a similar way. For this reason, they hurriedly buried him in this simple manner to send him off on his final journey. This simple stone structure does not carry the grandeur of a monumental tomb, but it represents the most sincere and tragic form of friendship and farewell. This is why our warrior lies in eternal sleep, all alone in the depths of nature and the forest. This simple yet meaningful grave is not just a skeleton lying beneath the earth, but also the tragic story of a warrior and the final farewell of his loyal friends. Now, we focus on one of this great warrior's most important personal belongings, his shield. Different motifs and reliefs appear on the surface of the shield. These are not just aesthetic decorations, but perhaps mysterious signs that tell of turning points in the warrior's life, victories, or achievements. Who knows? Maybe these motifs symbolize a tribe he belonged to or represent an important process in his life. This shield was not just a weapon of war for him. It had been his companion in hundreds of battles, protecting him from countless blows. That's why the shield was his closest friend, his most trusted ally. As his friends bid him farewell on this final journey, they did not want to separate him from this companion he valued most in life. This shield is much more than a grave gift. It is the last memory of a loyal friend and the immortal proof of a warrior's story. After lifting the shield, we also check the chest area of our warrior. However, we do not find any personal items or medallion-like findings here. This gives the first clues that he led a simple life. However, now our attention is drawn to a pot left next to the warrior. This pot is not just a grave gift. It seems to contain something. After examining the pot with great curiosity, our field researcher empties it. Now, the situation takes on a completely different meaning. Bronze coins, the smallest unit of that period, come out of the pot. This actually reveals a tragedy. It is understood that this warrior was not a wealthy noble, but a volunteer soldier, perhaps sacrificing his life to protect his village or town. These coins are not his own wealth. They were likely collected by the villagers and his fellow warriors as a tribute to his courage and sacrifice, and placed here. These simple coins hold a meaning far more valuable than a treasure. They are proof of how much they valued this hero who gave his life for them. This finding shows that this grave is not only a monument to a death, but also to friendship, loyalty, and sacrifice. Now, we are examining this protective bracelet on our warrior's arm. This accessory, used to protect his arm from blows during battle, served a practical function, and also proves that he was a warrior. And finally, the most important item of this warrior is his sword. This sword is not just a piece of metal. Who knows how many enemies it defeated, which victories it witnessed. Thanks to this sword, perhaps enemies could not enter these lands for a long time, and the region's security was ensured. This sword is a symbol of a warrior's story, of victories and sacrifices. Being buried with it is also a sign of the respect he had for his weapon, his closest friend, and the most important part of his life. Now, this small axe next to our warrior catches our attention. This is not a normal battle axe. It has a miniature design. Therefore, it is unlikely to have been used in battle. This situation suggests that the axe might have a spiritual meaning, serving as a protective symbol. However, there is also a more emotional possibility. Perhaps it was a gift the warrior got for his child, or conversely, it could be the last memento left by his child, placed beside him on this final journey. Now, we take a closer look at this small cup next to our warrior. It doesn't just look like a cup, it seems like a multifunctional warrior item. Its wide mouth and light structure. It suggests that he might have used this vessel to eat his meals, drink his water, and perhaps sip his wine during victory celebrations. This vessel was a personal item he carried with him, making his tough life on the battlefield a bit easier. As you can see, this simple grave not only tells us the story of a warrior, but also provides important clues about his life and emotional world. Each item we found added a new piece about who this hero was and why he was buried in this way. This discovery once again showed that history is not just about grand monuments, but sometimes the greatest stories are hidden in these simplest looking graves. Dear viewers, we have reached the end of our incredible archaeological discovery journey. We will continue to unravel the mysteries of history and share them with you. If you liked our video, please don't forget to leave your comments and opinions. You can support us by subscribing and liking. See you in our next video.